Good evening, welcome to Interesting Talks with Footprints Counselling Service. I hope you had a good weekend and you're enjoying the weather, the change in the weather, the upbeat feel that people tend to have when a little bit of sunshine is shining. Do like, share, leave comments on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you see this video, and share with friends and family if you find it applicable, that you enjoyed the video. This week, I'm usually caught out by this. It's Mental Health Week, Mental Health Awareness Week. So this day, we're going to talk about one of those aspects. And this year, mental health community are focusing on loneliness. And apparently 1 out of 5 people in the workplace, and probably in society in general, suffer from loneliness. So it's an important subject, and it's something that we can do something about by taking action. And at the end of this video, I've got some tips that I think will find helpful for people to help alleviate their loneliness and be able to combat it. And if it's not for you, then you could share it with somebody who you think could do with it. It's not just people in the latter stages of their life that feel lonely. In fact, 18 to 24-year-olds seem to be the highest group that suffer from loneliness. And I suppose we could understand that because a lot of them, they play games, they're on PlayStation, they're on all of the games that they're out there for them, and they don't necessarily interact how previous generations used to, i.e. going out and having a kickabout with a football or BMX riding, stuff like that, things that people used to do. And no longer, the teenagers don't do them as much now, as we know. It's nothing brave, no rocket science there. So loneliness can affect people in families, in workplaces, and in the community in general. I used to think, before I did much research on this, that loneliness meant that somebody was by themselves and alone. But you can actually be in a group of people, be surrounded by lots of family members, and still feel as alone as if you was by yourself and not choosing to be alone. I mean, remember, there's a difference between choosing to be alone and enjoying your own company, and being alone and it making you feel lonely. Also, loneliness, this is an interesting concept, makes you feel, it affects your mental health. It causes your mental health to deteriorate. And if you've got poor mental health, you're in a poor state of mental health, it makes you feel lonely. So it's a two-way street that can work either way. So you can feel lonely if your mental health is not very good, and if you're lonely, it can affect your mental health. So it's something to bear in mind. Try to incorporate or try to motivate relationships with people that you think are like-minded, or not even like-minded, people that you actually can get on with, that you can have a conversation with, that you enjoy their company. And if those people have dropped out of your life because of the pandemic or for other reasons, maybe it's time to reach out for them and say, let's go for a coffee or something like that. Be prepared to break the ice, because it's not a good place to be if you're feeling lonely, especially for long periods of time. So meaningful connection. Feeling lonely after the pandemic, because a lot of people have addressed the pandemic and how it's affected our lifestyle. I mean, lots of people are now working from home or hybrid style, but they might go into work for 2 days a week and 3 days a week they're in their house. I always say to people, to clients, that work is a form of therapy, because you have to put your work face on, you have to put your game face on and go to work. You can't be moaning necessarily at work or telling people all your problems. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but work is not for that. Work is not designed for that. And sometimes if you pretend you're happy or act as if you're happy, before you know it, you're actually feeling happy. I'm not saying that's a great solution to all the ills of whatever can happen with keeping your mental health in place, but one thing is for sure, going to work, being in a work environment can help you to find yourself and forget about your problems for a little while and focus on what you need to focus on, i.e. the work and the banter that you get in the workplace. But again, as we've said, due to the pandemic, a lot of people are not back to work as they normally would have been, so they're at home a lot. And that's isolation. Social isolation is not good for you or anybody. We're humans. We're supposed to interact with each other. The only mammal that I know that only stays by themselves for most of the time is the polar bear. And the polar bears only come together when it's time for mating. Any other time they come across each other, it's war. According to the World Health Organization, loneliness and feeling the pain of social isolation is because we don't feel as if our needs are being met by the group of people that we're in as well. So the World Health Organization, believe, they've done research and it says that if our social needs are not being met in that group of people, i.e. it could be your family, it could be your work colleagues, or it could be your friends, and you feel that you're being shunned or pushed to one side and not accepted for who you are and what you believe in, then that also can make you feel lonely, and you lock off, and the process begins for you, as in feeling a bit depressed about it and affecting your mental health. So let's go through some ways that can combat this. So one of them is taking up a new hobby. Could be woodwork, learning to play a guitar. Goodness me, there's so many hot things out there. And a group that you should always think about is called Meetup. On Meetup, so it's an app, you go on there, you put what you want to do in the particular area that you live in, and they reel off literally hundreds, if not thousands, of things you can do. It might cost you a tenner, it might cost you a fiver, some of them could be free. But that's something to think about. Volunteer for a cause that you find interesting to you. Giving to people is one of the greatest things you can do to make yourself feel good. Giving to people, helping people, and especially people you don't know, for example, it is so rewarding. People just don't know. Why do people go to work in volunteer shops? It's not because they're goody two-shoes. One, they get benefit from it. They get something from working in a bookshop or a thrift shop, for a cancer charity or whatever. They actually feel good about it. So that's something to think about too. Get into a book, reading books. I remember a teacher said to me once that, Yinka, if you read a book, you'll never feel alone. And there's been times I've been by myself and I've got so stuck into a book that actually I don't want to put it down. I'm actually in the book. I'm one of the characters in this book and so on. And I just, you just get lost. There's something you can do. Audio books, I don't think you get the same feel from it. Watching a movie, I know you don't get the same feel from it. But reading a book, once you really got into it, you got to know the characters. Lovely, beautiful stuff to get on with. Board games. This is something that I've suggested to somebody recently. I live in Croydon, and there's a place there where you can actually go and play board games and have a cup of coffee and have a beer or whatever. And that's what they do. That's their key selling point, that you can come and play games in their shop. Board games. Then there's hundreds of thousands of board games. Going to the cinema clubs. You could join a cinema club. And if you don't have somebody to go to the cinema with, and you don't want to go to the cinema with anybody that you go and meet up. Is there a cinema club on here? Before you know it, you'll be involved in the cinema club, and you'll be enjoying yourself and making new friends, making new connections. Keep in contact with family and friends online. They might live in Canada, they might live in Africa, they might live in the Caribbean. You could stay in contact with them online, face-to-face, FaceTiming them. And again, you won't feel lonely because you're talking to people that you know, you've got connections with them, and you like them. That's why you're contacting them, and they probably like you back the same way. So that is also very, very beneficial. Listen to this one. You could borrow a dog for the day. Because if you've got a dog and you go for a walk, people come up to you and talk to you about your dog. The amount of people I know that have met their partners through walking a dog, and of course people always want to talk to you. What's this dog? It's an icebreaker, a fantastic icebreaker. And two, you're going to get some exercise. You're most likely it's going to be in a park or some greenery, which is also very, very good for your mental health. Team sports, something I do myself. I play volleyball. I love it. Very, very great way to spend your time. Good way to get some exercise. You have a laugh, a bit of banter. Things go wrong in the game or whatever. And again, you could go and have a coffee or a beer after the game. It's a part of having a social life. And it helps you to keep yourself up and running and your mental health intact. Again, cookouts, having a barbecue or just going out for a meal. None of these things have to cost a lot of money, but they do help you, and especially in the right time of year now, we're in May. They do help you to build relationships, make you feel good, and having a laugh. And last but not least, comedy shows. Go to comedy shows. A good belly laugh solves many an ill, puts you in a great frame of mind. And again, if you go and meet up, you could probably find groups of people that go to comedy shows together. And it's just that simple. This is the end of the talk. I hope you found it useful and informative. And some of these tips that you could use for yourself, and if it's not for you, then some family member or a friend or a colleague could do with some advice on being less lonely than what they are. Again, this week is Mental Health Awareness Week. So there's many other things on mental health that we could talk about. And never ever forget, mental health is something that fluctuates. It's not stable. There's no such thing as like mental health, it's bad. No, mental health can be good. Mental health, one side of the road, and on the other side of the road is poor, and it fluctuates in between. And it depends on what's going on for you. You know what things can make your mental health not well. Things like bereavement, loss and bereavement of a relationship, breakup from losing a job, breakdown of your car, somebody not paying you the money that they wanted to pay you back. All of these things affect how you feel, and obviously it affects your mental health. So anyway, till 2 weeks time, take care of yourself, practice on being able to stay safe in your mental capacity, share with friends and family, and if you've not subscribed to my channel, my YouTube channel, do subscribe and share and like. Take care, speak to you soon, stay blessed.